right. We are live. And yes, Adrian, I think I have the right mic this time. I always switch it every week because Tuesdays, Jess and I record podcast, the Base Code podcast. So yeah, I switch it to like my nice podcast recording mic instead of the headset. The headset's easier because I get like two in one. I get the audio and the mic. So I like this one better when I'm pairing or live streaming. So cool. Okay, good. Sounds like everything's good, audio and video. So let's jump in because there's a lot of PRs by Nathan E. I kind of went nuts over the weekend, just making sure things are ready, doing some refactoring, updating the build actions for Laravel 8, which I've been meaning to do, not necessarily the build actions, but actually making sure that Composer is good with Laravel 8. And if we get time, maybe breaking ground on generating the new class-based factories, which will be new in Laravel 8. So anyway, yeah, thank you all for joining. Yeah, hey, is it Ozan? Hopefully I got that right. And Suraj, maybe? Is that right? Let me know if I'm saying those right. I try to get people's names right, but it's tough sometimes being a stupid American with no pronunciation, international pronunciation skills. So yeah, anyways, let's jump into these real quick. And like I said, feel free to shoot things in the chat as we go, but that'll be the kind of the rough plan. So this one I think was pretty easy. I was just kind of sitting on it till today. Looks like a little namespace issue here. Although I haven't seen this exclude from class path before. So I just want to understand that. I don't even know if that's required. So let's just kind of like understand what this does. Okay, so exclude from class paths. If you want to exclude some files or folders from the class path, you can use exclude from class path per author. You might exclude classes in your live environment, for example, as those will be skipped from the class map, even when building. The class map generator will ignore. Okay, so it's a way to basically ignore these files, but I guess what's interesting to me is I'm not using a class map. We're using PSR4. So yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually needed or not, since we're using class map, or not using class map, I guess. So yeah, because like PSR4, I guess it just loads all those up anyway. I'd have to see. We'd have to basically compare the class map from what it is now to what it is, whatever. So you know what? Let's do that just for some giggles. Let's do composer dump auto load, and let's just kind of like see what that looks like. Oops, let's bring up PHP Storm, shall we? PHP, not my photos. There we go, PHP Storm. Did I get the name right? Oh, good. All right, sounds good. All right, so let's go to Blueprint. And I'm just kind of curious. Let's just spend like 2 minutes and check this out real quick. So let's look. Let me move my chat bubble. And let's go into Composer and auto load class map. And are there fixtures in here? There are no fixtures in there. Let's check PSR4. See, there's no fixture files in here. So my guess would be if I was loading the test directory with a class map, then of course it would pick those up. So let's just for giggles check that as well. So let's go to this, and what we'll do is we'll just kind of change this auto load dev to be like a class map. And I think class map is just an array, and you say tests or something like that. Let's see. What is it not like about that? Is class map not that way? How do you do a class map? I thought class map was just a simple array. Let's go back. Class map is a simple array. What's wrong with you? Class map tests. All right. Oh, I think it doesn't like the single quote. That's the problem. Let's see what that does. So let's try fixtures. Yeah, see. So if I were using class map, it would have mapped those. But see, it didn't do it since we're using. So I don't think that's necessary. But it was an interesting little fun little tidbit there. So let's undo all this, which instead of just doing Control Z, let's use Git. There we go. And let's go back to here, and let's just clean this up real fast. I could probably just edit it in line faster, so let's just do that. Edit, and let's just drop that exclude from class path, because I don't think it's necessary. What was that called? Exclude from class path? Exclude from class path does not, or class map, I think it was called, does not necessary for PSR 4, I think. We'll commit it, whatever, I like it. All right, let's let those rerun, but I think that is fine to go, so let's just make sure that's good. This was another interesting one. So some people have been requesting in like issues like, hey, I want to override the generator. And you've always been able to do this with swap generator, but it's just a little more work to do. So maybe you overrode this in your own little class, so instead of making a service provider and pulling out blueprint and then writing swap, you could actually configure in your project, for example, if you wanted to use like, oh, hey, Yoast. So it looks like perfect timing. So for example, if you wanted the tests to be generated, oh, that's interesting. Oh, here they are, test. So if you wanted the tests to be generated using Yoast test generator with some of the streamline setup code, or maybe you wanted to use the PHP pest, the pest plugin or add-on that's been built by the community, you could actually, change that here, or if you had some of your own version. So it's not necessarily something that I think I would have done, but I think it's a good community addition, and I'm comfortable with it. And we made sure that it's not required that you update your config file. Of course, if you generate your own config file, you'll get this. But they're all kind of built-in defaulted anyway. So, which is kind of interesting that it had to be defaulted like this. I probably would have just put it in generators and then overrode it. So maybe that's something we can look at the end. But again, I am comfortable with this, and it looks like they updated. He updated for backwards compatibility, so let's just take a look at that. Yeah, made this default generators thing. So we'll take a quick peek at that in a live project, maybe if we have time at the end, because that's the only code that seemed a little odd to me. I would have expected this to just be in generators to be the default, but maybe there's a reason it wasn't in there. Or honestly, just the fact that when you merge the config with the current config, you should get old options. So I'm kind of surprised this code was necessary. But again, all tests are passing. It looks good. I'm going to go ahead and merge this, and we will come back. And let's just say allow custom generators, allow swapping or registering. No, swapping I think is the appropriate word here. So allow swapping custom generators via config. I'm cool with that. All right, good. Let's keep moving on. What else do we have? Is this fix autoloader done? Not yet. So this build action, I had a question, and maybe someone in the audience can pick this up for me. But So we're supporting Laravel 8, so that's good. And then there was this v2 bit that got thrown in here, and then it looks like a new constant to be able to determine the cache path. So that one made sense. The one that didn't make sense to me was actually this restore keys. Um, it has composer dash on the end of it. Now I don't know if that was just a goof because on my part initially, like this cache key wasn't there. Because like if you look at this restore keys, it goes this far, but doesn't have the dash composer. Um, so yeah, I don't know where else that was being used, to be honest. I understand what the caching does, but I honestly think I copy and pasted that from a blog post somewhere. So I'm just curious why this dash composer. I'm assuming so it matches the same prefix of all the keys. Um, I'm assuming that's what it is. But to that point, if you're opening PRs, it'd be nice to get just a little more description. So I definitely appreciate all the help here. I'm going to merge them, but to avoid any back and forth and again to help me kind of understand, always make just a little more information here. Show a before and after code sample. Just take a minute to write just 2 sentences on what this does. These bullet points like test Laravel 8, sure, that kind of helps me, but what part of testing? So I can go look at the files and I can tell like, oh, you only added a Laravel 8 version as part of the testing. Okay, great, I see that, but that could have meant like you added support for Laravel 8, you made sure that Blueprint could run on Laravel 8, you wrote a test for Laravel 8, I have no idea. So again, something is better than nothing, of course, but it would have been nice, especially for, changes that aren't related. Like this change particularly was completely unrelated to more or less the caching of v2, so I don't know if that's required or what. So I'm going to leave this one open just to kind of get an answer on that. I'm assuming this fix PSR auto load is pretty much done now. Let's just let that finish. It should be pretty close. That way we can merge these other two, because this one might cause conflicts. And then we'll go back and take a look at that config bit, as well as update Laravel 8 support. Come on now. Almost there. I kind of trust it, but I'm going to let it go. Let's look at this other one while we're waiting then. Okay, so this one, there was an issue where if you were using foreign keys, sometimes, of course, depending on the order of your migrations or what data might have already existed or the type of migration that you're writing, you could fail the foreign key constraints in your database. Again, I've personally gone back and forth on this like a couple times now, I'm sure, on these. I'm not a huge fan of making constraints at the database level. I definitely use keys and indices and so forth, but I don't necessarily constrain them or do the cascade on deletes, so honestly I just haven't run into these types of headaches before, but I definitely know they exist. To me, this feels a little heavy-handed. Uh, some people might argue, oh, I want to know when a foreign key constraints with my migrations for some reason. I don't really know. Anyway, that's what the change is here. It does resolve an open issue. It supports both Laravel 6 and 7 syntax. So again, good information here as far as like, I've already reviewed this before, so we've gone back and forth on a couple different things. But this just ultimately adds, kind of wraps the migration if you're doing some kind of foreign key constraint to basically turn those off for the purposes of this migration. So again, I think it's a heavy-handed solution, but it is a solution nonetheless. It just might kind of flip to the other extreme, where like now some people might be like, oh, I didn't realize I had a integrity constraint or a integrity violation because my migration disabled it. So I don't know. There's really no perfect solution. Again, this is one of those areas where I feel like Blueprint, it does enough, and it's kind of on the developer to fix these nuances based on your own application. It's kind of an application choice whether or not you would want to add these. So I don't know. I'm reluctantly going to merge this because, I do think it helps. Um, it probably helps more than it hurts, but the second someone opens an issue and is like, oh, this broke whatever in production, I don't know. I might pull it out or make it configurable. I don't know. So we're going to merge it. All right, let's see if that other one's done now. Come on. What is going on here? Let's see what's happening. Installing dependencies. Well, that sure is taking a second. Why are you not expandable? I'm going to say that this thing is like stuck. Because yeah, it is just not wanting to go. So let's do this. I'm going to merge this. Fix PSR. Let's just make that pretty. PSR 4. Auto load. This is really convention or auto load naming for generators is really what we're doing here. Yeah, that was an invalid PSR4 name because I think the namespace again was, or the file already had, let's see if I can open this up somehow. Yeah, it just didn't match. It wasn't really an issue in fairness, it just didn't match what it did. So like this is called generator, but I think in here it's generators. So, just a nice little consistency thing here. But in fairness, it actually wasn't a PSR4 breakage. Oh no, it was. There you go. Because I did call it generators here, but maybe I didn't do that consistently. So yeah, that was a PSR4 violation. Cool. Yeah, they got to match. The class name path, namespace path, casing, all that stuff has to match. So let's do this. Let's get pull. And just since we didn't get that one, and because I'm on a Mac, we'll make sure that all still runs. Great. And let's just do composer dump auto load since we were messing around with that. And let's run this again. Okay, good. Everything looks good. So let's do a git checkout -b Laravel 8. You know what? Git checkout -b. Or wait, can you do git branch rename? I think you can. Laravel 8. I like late. That's fun. What is the rename? I think it's, no, it's like a -m or something real crazy. Yeah, there we go. -m. I wish it was rename. That would be cool. There we go. That's what we want. All right, let's bump this sucker up to support Laravel 8. So that should be pretty simple. Let's do... Ooh, you know what I want to do? You know what I want to do? Just, Adrian, here you go. This is for you. Just for giggles. Just for giggles. Let's go do this with Shift. Let's see if the Shift workbench can do this for a package. Let's bump this up to, let's say, add support for Laravel 8. Let's get rid of these tasks. And there's like a package. Laravel, yeah, here we go. I want this. And I want to bump it to 8, and I want to append. Let's see if this can work. I know it can work, but normally it works for applications, not necessarily packages. So let's try this. GitHub, Laravel-shift, blueprint, master, done, run. Oh, you little bastard. Okay. It's a premium task. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to my Shifty plan, and let's do GitHub, Laravel-shift. What is going on here? Blueprint master. Let's copy that so I don't have to do that all over again. Let me disable the automation on that because I don't want weekly Laravel patch releases, but that should allow me to run the workbench. Oh, come on. Do I have to do all that again? I'm gonna fix that. That's a nasty little UX bug. Laravel, or let's see, bump dependencies for Laravel 8. I did that again. Laravel 7. Let's try that again. Packages, copy it, true, 8. I can live with that. Paste, done, run. There we go. Let's see what happens. I didn't think that was going to work. I don't think it likes packages. Let's just find out. Worker 03, I think, is the one that runs the builds. Let's do a cat on var log shift build Laravel shift. No, what was the build number? 167. There it is. Could not find artisan. That should be... Okay, so another little bug. That should be disabled for bumping package versions. Yes. That is annoying. Okay. I tell you what, there's another little trick I can do. Let's do... Will that take too long? That might take too long. Okay. I'm going to fix that so it actually works for packages, but we're going to do that somewhere else. That's more of a shift thing, and we're supposed to be focusing on this. So let's just run this for now, and we'll bump that here and here. But basically that shift would have done this and turned that into 6. So it would have done all of this for us. So I think that's good. That should be fine. Let's go and make sure though real quick, does Laravel 8 require a higher version of Symfony? So let's just check that. And let's go to Composer. What do they require as far as... Oh, it would be the framework, sorry, not that. Framework. And it's not blob. 8.x is what that's called. What do they require for Symfony? So still 5.1, no change. Okay, we're good there. So 5 should be fine. And PHP Unit 9, yes, good call. Okay, so we will need to do... Yeah, what I think it was 9.3 actually. Yes, 9.3. So let's do that as well. Good one. So theoretically, Shift would have done all of that, or the workbench would have done all that. So it'll be a good test because I'm actually building that out for next week to try to help package authors. So I will do that later, but let's do this for now. Git, commit. Ooh, you know what? I'd really like to merge that Laravel 8 thing because I don't think it's going to... I don't think this is... Well, you know what? This isn't going to break anything, which is kind of the point for now. This doesn't mean that we full-on support all the newness in Laravel 8, for example, class-based factories. So I'm going to work on that next. But this should allow at least support from a composer perspective, like you should be able to install and run Blueprint, theoretically, on a Laravel 8 project. So again, we may try that ourselves here in just a minute when we test all this config stuff, but I think this is probably good enough. So bump dependencies for Laravel 8. Oh, it helps when you actually commit stuff, doesn't it? Git add -p. So we've got or 8, or 8, or 8, or 9.3, and then the correct version of Orchestra test bench. That looks good. Let's run that commit again. Git push origin head. Git open. And let's go ahead and make that merge. Also is nice when you spell dependencies right. Let's create pull requests. And you know what? I'm a stickler for a nice clean history, so let's DW that and paste that. Git push origin, whoops, head dash F, yeah. Don't at me, bro. I just force pushed. There we go. Look, GitHub's gonna call me out on that. Force pushed, nice. Okay, cool. What else we got here? While that is running, let's make a brand new Laravel 8 project. So let's do, I think I did this before, Laravel app. Yes, I did. There we go. Let's make a new Laravel app, and then we'll try to install Blueprint once we merge this from Dev Master. So give Composer a second here, but I think that'll work. Let me get a little drink while we're waiting on that. Composer has been running like super slow for me locally. I feel like I feel somebody pulled like kind of like an Apple maneuver where like the new one comes out and like the old one suddenly gets like a little bit slow. You ever notice that with like your iPhone or something? Like the iPhone 11 comes out and the 10 suddenly feels like really slow. Might just be a psychological thing, could be, you know, a conspiracy. But I feel like Composer's been doing the same thing as the point. Like this would have run maybe in like 20 seconds or so, but anyway. This would be Laravel 7 now, or question mark. Adrian, I don't understand your question. I should be pulling dev develop, which will get the Laravel project that is the 8 version. So give this just a sec. If not, I'll just download it from source. There we go. So Laravel app. Yeah, so if we just like cat composer, you should see, yeah, that we're 8. So all good. All good in the hood. So let's do, now here's the one that might not run so hot. Yeah, if this complains about memory, then we're going to bump to Composer 2. Because I agree. I feel like that absolutely has been happening lately. All right. So of course this doesn't break anything currently, but again, we're not building L8 just yet. So what'll be nice is if we do this and actually pull in, or can like rerun the build actions for like this or something. But I guess that wouldn't really matter since this would need to be rebased. So again, I'm going to leave this one open, and we'll just kind of at Nathan E to maybe rebase and test to see that it's actually running for Laravel 8. That'd be awesome. Oh, good, it did run. Okay, cool. So now let's just Composer install this guy. Or well, wait, we need to merge this first. So we should see this fail actually. So let's do that. Let's see this fail. It should theoretically fail to be incompatible. There we go, and it did. So good. So we'll merge this once this gets done running. Running Composer v2. Yeah, I bumped up all of the Shift build servers to v2 because I was running into some memory issues on those as well, and I didn't want to like increase the server or the image. So yeah, I upgraded to v2 and haven't had a problem since. Every now and then though, I'll notice for some projects like there are some nuances. So like that PSR4 naming thing is a lot more strict in v2. Also package names are a lot more strict in Composer version 2. So for example, if you were kind of studly casing or proper casing stuff, Composer kind of expects those to all be lowercase now. And then I think they dropped support for pair. That was another error I'd noticed a bunch. So anyway, probably doesn't affect most apps. Again, like that was like 1 in 100 shifts that I kind of noticed that on one of those things, but take a look at that. So yeah, definitely if you do bump to Composer 2, run Composer update locally and pay attention to those warnings because they're good to fix anyways, to be honest, but that could be affecting your builds or a build server. Okay, what is going on? Is this Mac OS one? Yes, it is. This Mac OS one is just floating again. We'll give it like 30 more seconds, and then I'm anxious and want to merge this and see if it works. So we'll do this again, but we'll do this against dev master here in just a sec. Let's just clear that out. There we go. All right. You get about 20 more seconds here, Mac OS latest. It's strange. Oh, it failed. What's going on here? Could not be downloaded. Blueprint. That's weird. I'm gonna say that's a I'm gonna say that's GitHub having some trouble. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is okay. I don't need a squash merge either. It's just one commit. Or no, let's be consistent. I've been squash merging everything. Squash merge. And we'll give Composer just a second to catch up on that. While we're doing that, let's take a peek at the open issues. Is there something I can add for YAML or supporting YAML for seeds? Okay, yeah, so this one came up, and I think I asked them, like, you know, it sounded interesting, like being able to generate seeders. I don't really know how Blueprint would help with that or what that syntax looks like, but I mean, I could see it being useful, even if you just said, like, you know, add a seeder or dash dash seeder or something for a model, and it just used the factories to make like 5 of them. That could be like its default behavior, like streamlined, you know, shorthand behavior. But I think for now this could be a really cool package or add-on to Blueprint. You know, where you just added a seeders section, and then you could just say model name, and then you could say like, I don't know, factory 10 or something. I don't know. I don't know what that syntax looks like. So that's kind of why I'm leaving this open. Again, I don't know if it's something that I'll do in Blueprint v1. But if it's popular, again, that's the nice thing about doing the add-ons and making Blueprint extensible is like, if those get a lot of popularity, kind of just like something like Pest, it's something you could consider rolling into, you know, Blueprint itself, just like Laravel considered rolling Pest into the framework, which is delayed for now. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of bubbled up by, you know, Laravel 9 or 10, again, as Pest matured and got more popular. So yeah, this one's out there if anyone watching wants to kind of check that out or has some of their own ideas. This was actually something I noticed when I installed this in my own project. I basically just like fired up a project, added this draft file, ran this, and it kind of all exploded. And it's basically because I didn't run trace or like the new command or something. Or even if maybe you haven't made your database yet. So it'd just be nicer, I think, if there was a more friendly warning that said, hey, you know, we can't find this model. You know, if model for context fails, it might just be nice to, again, bubble up a prettier warning. So just a little UX nicety paper cut there I'll probably work on maybe next live stream. So anyway, okay, I think Composer probably had enough time, or Packagist probably had enough time to pick that up. So let's see if this installs. And if it does, then we know we're at least installable. The next step will be to attempt to run it. Again, I don't expect it to generate factories. Uh-oh. Don't install installation request Laravel framework 8.0 satisfiable. Oh, this is actually... Oh, wait. Dev master. I don't think it picked up. I don't think Packages has got this picked up yet. Yeah, we bumped dependencies. We are C4D11. Let's do this. rm-f composer lock. This should kick out a version number, but it's not. Yeah, it's not seeing... Did I miss one? No, I didn't miss one. So it's just, I don't think Packages has got it picked up yet. So let's see if we can trigger or refresh ourselves. Why is the build failing? That's gross. 31,000 installs, awesome. Again, if it gets to, once it gets to 100, I will work on a VT. Okay, so Packages should have this now, C4D, and there it is. So what's going on here? Seems like my local composer hasn't drilled through it yet. Can you do a specific version? I think you can do like dev-c4 whatever. Here we go. It finally got it. There it is, C4D. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so we support Laravel 8, PHP Artisan. So let's just, since we're in here, let's demonstrate that little crappy issue. So let's just do this. So we know we have a users model, pb paste, draft.yaml, PHP Artisan blueprint build done. So yeah, here we go. Columns on null in the test generator. So it just couldn't find that user model. And you know, you can fix it here, and then it happens for like the resource generation and all sorts of stuff. So it's just kind of a nasty little bug that doesn't, it's not really representative of like what happened. So I think it would be nicer if, you know, if we scrolled up here in the test generator, we would see that local model was being pulled from that Git context or Git model for context. That should really have some better handling. Sometimes it's okay, like sometimes for a test or a resource, if we don't generate something, that's fine, you know. But I'd rather kind of have the user have to have like a -- force or something, where like, hey, look, just generate this. Don't worry about the models. Just do the best you can, and I'll fill in the blanks later. But it would be a lot better if it just said something like user model undefined. Make sure this is either, you know, defined in your draft YAML, or if it already exists, run, you know, blueprint trace, which then would trigger them that they don't have a database connection if that's where they are. So again, just a little bit more helpful than this first experience of like, remember, it just makes you think blueprint doesn't work, which, you know, sucks because it does work, but not until you run trace. So, which I can't even run trace because again, I don't have this app fully set up. So, okay, so while we're in here, here's what I want to do. I want to test that. Let's open up Atom, and we'll just close PHP Storm. I don't have this pulled down yet, I don't think. I want to take this old config file and just kind of see, let's pb paste this. Pb paste config blueprint.php. There's blueprint, and let's just drop this generators out. So I just kind of want to test this. This will be the last thing we do in this live stream. And then next week, maybe we'll focus on, if someone doesn't pick it up already, we'll focus on generating those class-based factories. So we're like fully supporting Laravel 8 since it will be released next Tuesday. But at least we know people can continue installing and generating and using Blueprint in their Laravel 8 apps. It just won't have that super fancy code just yet. Okay, so I got this config file now. PHP Artisan, and let's fix a draft file so this actually just generates code without breaking anything. So let's just say something like models, post. Let's just take that README example, shall we? Let's just take this without the user part, just so we don't run into any issues with author ID. And let's see if this runs. Okay, great, it does. So GST, oops, it's not a git. It's not a git. Okay. It's not a Git repo. That's fine. It should regenerate everything anyway since we just did the model. So we're good on generation. What I want to do now is actually just dig into core blueprint here and see if we can take out, where's Laravel shift? There it is, Laravel shift. I always look for shift instead of Laravel shift. I need to kind of like consolidate those under the same brand. Shift is more than kind of just Laravel these days. So, plus I know Taylor doesn't really like it when you do. I mean, I've talked to him about it, but doesn't really like it when packages do like the Laravel prefix. It's just kind of confusing. So let's take a look at Blueprint Service Provider. See, it merges the config from our own config. So if you have this, it'll merge it with Blueprint. Now does that... I never totally understood this merges from config. Like, does that take the default config that we have in the project and merge it? Does it, what does it do, right? So like, I think that's what it does. I think it takes the local config file here and then it'll merge it with potentially the user's custom one and then put it all in a config. That's what I think it does. And so if it does that, then you should always be getting those defaults, right? So to test that, we have a blueprint file that doesn't have it, but we know that this file does have it. So what we could do is actually just, we could do like a dump of config blueprint here to kind of test our theory. And if this kicks out what we expect, generators, see, it has them even though ours doesn't. So let's just prove this by changing our namespace in our config file, that it merges these. And if so, I don't think that that additional default config thing is needed. So let's just say custom. There we go. Yeah, it does merge. So there's probably no need to do that default stuff. So let's go see how that's working, and then we'll go back to the actual blueprint project and fix this up right. So let's just find this. Where else is it doing this? So it just gets the default generators, and then this .default generators. This doesn't even seem to be used. Am I crazy? Let's search the whole project. Maybe it's used elsewhere. Ah, here we go. It is used elsewhere. Yeah, see, there's probably no reason to do this anymore. You could just pull out the config generators. You're probably always going to get them, right? So let's just test that. We can take out this merge. No default generators. We just pull that, and we should be able to see that it runs each generator. So let's just do something here like the generator is just a class name, so we could just dump the generator. Yeah, it ran them all. And again, just for giggles, has you local config generators. Have I changed the local config generators, you mean? No, I haven't. So that would be another good test. So first of all, let's do this. Let's delete this, and it still runs our way. And then let's do the publish command. So PHP artist, and then we'll do that. We'll make a local special generator, and we should see that it kind of blows up because it can't install that class. So let's do PHP artisan. What is it? Vendor publish. And we'll want to publish the blueprint config, so that's 10. And now we should have a blueprint config. And to your point, let's just say something like, let's just call this like pest test generator. And we should see blueprint explode. There it is. it got what we needed. Cool. And I don't know if you could go so far as doing like half of these. That's probably strange. Let's find out. Yeah, so yeah, I think this works without that extra bit. So we're gonna go pull out that default thing and change the build config. Um, so I think that's a good one. What's interesting though is you actually could, instead of doing like skip seeders, skip factories, you actually could register this and then say, look, I don't want to generate tests like ever. So this is actually kind of nice, I think. At first I was a little skeptic about it because it's just kind of like, well, why not just use swap generator? But I think this actually makes more sense now that I'm seeing the kind of this merge nature of it. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go back to Blueprint and let's make this a real thing. So get checkout get checkout master, get pull, and I'm not going to make a branch for this. This is just a little tiny little nuance here. So let's go back to Blueprint, and we're going to go into Blueprint itself, and we're going to rip out this default generators because there's really no reason for that. They're just in the config file, and we saw that that's good enough with the merge bit. So we should be able to pull this out, and we know that that's going to cause an error because Blueprint doesn't have this default generators. So that's going to drive us to the actual, the actual Blueprint file again, where we use that method. Where do we use that method? Maybe it's not here. Default generators. There it is. The service provider is where we use it. So we should be able to just use config. Cool. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I don't even need to array it anymore. Good spot. Thank you, audience/Adrian. Beautiful. Look at that. Much cleaner. Cool. And I wonder, is that what it was before the PR? Let's check it out. Let's look at the Git history. Show history. So before, what was it? Before it registered all of them, where was the collect? Oh, it's new code, of course. Yeah, it's new code. So before it just registered everything and then quit, and now we just loop over them to register them. Yeah, that makes sense. I could see this being another one, registering lexers. Again, I don't know why you would want to do that right away. You definitely wouldn't want to turn off lexers. That would mess up your generators. So, yeah, I'd be a lot more skeptic about that one. Okay, cool. This all works. Git add -p. So we're going to take away those providers. We're going to take away that. We're still going to loop over the config to get all the generators which register them. It doesn't seem we actually need key. I'm surprised that PHP Storm didn't highlight that. Where is key used? It's not. All right, I'm going to drop key. Let's run our, let's run our tests again. Yeah, key's unnecessary. Come on, PHP Storm. All right, so we just have config generators as generator, make up the new generators, send it the app file. Cool. Git commit -m, leverage config, or what is this? Leverage config merging to default generators. There we go. Git push origin head. All right, that should go. And I think we're in a good place. So that's Laravel. Let's go back to Blueprint. Or let's check the installs while we're here. Look at that little uptick. Beautiful. Always makes me happy. All right, cool. So yeah, so all that's open is this update build action. I'm gonna see what Nathan has to say. Yeah, the one more thing about this, yes, let's just make that note while I'm thinking about it, and that'll be the end. So I have bumped the dependencies for Laravel 8 on master. if you'd like to rebase so you can test the build with Laravel 8 now. Or against is probably the better word here. Against Laravel 8 now. Cool. All right, so we'll let Nathan E clean that up. And yeah, I think we're in a good place. So good, cool. Next week we'll focus on adding the Laravel goodness or Laravel 8 goodness to make sure that we're doing class-based factories, class-based seeders, all the new stuff that'll be in Laravel 8. So, and of course, all the fallbacks back to Laravel 6 will still be in place. Since Laravel 6 is an LTS version, I'll continue to support it at least until the next LTS version. And then honestly, after that, I'll probably only support the latest version because as we've seen, even just with 7 and 6, there's already a lot of toggles in there to kind of take advantage of older features. So while I wanted to initially support as many as possible, I think moving forward I'll probably only support the latest version with Laravel 9. That way we can streamline Blueprint itself. So cool. Oh, got a couple questions here, so we'll finish up with those. Let's see. Could you do live stream code diving for Laravel Shift? Yes, I've thought about doing that some more. It's just, it's kind of one of those things, only so many hours in the day. So yeah, maybe what I may start doing is alternating. Do a, 1 week with Laravel Shift, and then, another week with Blueprint and just kind of switch back and forth. And I'll try to focus with Shift, of course, since it's a paid product, maybe focus on some of the free features like some of those workbench tasks or things like that. If you're super interested, though, in the code for Shift, I did do, or no, wait, that was on Blueprint, sorry. Jeffrey asked to do kind of a follow-up where I went into the code for Shift as well, but haven't done that one yet. So, hopefully there'll be eventually a fuller one on Laracast, but I've thought about doing some weekly live streams as well, so good idea. Adrian, LTS isn't needed. Absolutely. I've considered LTS a trap, wrote a post on it probably 3 years ago now. Taylor and I make jokes on it, but it's just to provide stability for teams, enterprises, kind of a framework parity thing with Symfony. So, you gotta do stuff like that, unfortunately. But yeah, not just because of Shift, even on my own, I completely agree. Just once the latest version's stable, especially a week or two after release, by mid-September, there's absolutely no reason not to just take advantage of the latest features. Yeah, LTS is such a trap. It doesn't give you any additional support and really only increases your technical debt. Since it's only released every 3 months, you basically have 2 years. You'll accumulate 2 years worth of technical debt and probably build a lot of features that would have been in the latest versions. So yeah, quick tangent, but yeah, I agree. LTS is kind of dumb. So, okay. Thanks everyone for attending the live stream. See you all next week for more Blueprint and then maybe some on Shift after that.